the Chile Today podcast. I'm Bethany Francis.
And I'm Alisha Lubin. We're two broads living abroad, broadcasting from Santiago, Chile.
We explore Chilean news, cultural topics. Tropics? What? Travel, business, and more.
The Chile Today podcast is the first ever bi-weekly English-speaking Chilean news podcast.
To learn more about the news topics you'll hear today, check out ChileToday.cl and enjoy quick updates from around the country on Instagram at Chile Today News.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Also, if you're feeling generous, rate and review us and share our episodes on your Instagram stories.
If you'd like to hear a certain topic, have a story to share, or would like to just ask a question, contact us directly through Instagram on Chile Today Podcast.
That one was hard.
Yeah, guys, it gets harder and harder. I don't know what's going on. I'm tired. I stayed up and watched the election results last night as a responsible journalist.
Is good that you did because I was making hamburgers.
Yeah.
So Bethany's going to be covering the politics today.
No, I was super lucky because we started watching the election results, me and my best friend Mary. Hey, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
And we did not understand a GD thing that was happening because also it was a total like chaos clusterfuck at the beginning because in Chile they count, it's all paper ballots. And there were so many freaking candidates. They were just like stacking the ballots on the ground. Like the wind was blowing them away. And like one place lost electricity. And I was like having an anxiety attack about the organization or the lack of. And I was like, oh my God, if this shit happened in the U.S., we would just have to redo the whole election.
You'd have to redo it.
But here they're like, it's fine.
Well, maybe the papers will turn up later. Maybe not.
I'm sure there's one. I already counted that one. It's fine. And I was like, oh my God, they're counting votes in the dark with their cell phone lights. Oh my God.
I also wonder about just how much human error it has to be accounted for.
They do it by tally marks. Like, this is the professionalism that I'm like, okay, it's 2021. Like, you don't have to go to, like, full-on computer style, right? Because we know how the internet and, like, government websites work in this country. But, like, Scantrons are a thing, and they've been a thing since, like, the 70s. Let's get some Scantrons for these poor people.
But eyes have been a thing for forever. Eyes are a proven method, but just not efficient. Your eyes. You know what you used to look at the votes.
But, you know, people lost eyes to get this.
That's right. That's okay. Well,
no, there you go.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Put a damper on your day.
Yeah, it's down. It's down.
Yeah. So no, it was quite complicated, the counting, and also these are normal peoples. Like, I don't know if you know this, but if you go and like it's not like the U.S. where you volunteer to be someone that works at a voting booth. You just show up and you vote, and they're like, oh, by the way, you're a vocal de mesa, like you're somebody that counts the votes. And you're like, great. Now I'm going to dedicate 2 days of my life to this. You can volunteer, or you can also find out beforehand. But sometimes if the vocales don't show up, then you can get called just randomly.
Interesting.
So anyway, like I said, a lot of people don't want to do that, especially this weekend where you dedicated 2 days. There was a girl on the news, it was her birthday. She had like a lei on it. She was like, it's my birthday, but I love vocal de mesa. And you can't say no. It's like a legal thing. If you try to leave, like the military will come and like drag you back to the table. So
imagine jury duty in the U.S. being like that.
Oh my God. Imagine the military doing anything to anyone in the U.S. ever.
Right.
Because they're like, I mean, we had like a Capitol invasion and the military was like, meh. I mean, unless, you know, you're a person of color. Okay, going off. I digress. So, anyway, it was, what did you hear? Like, you were Burger City. You were Burger Town.
I was in Burger Town.
So, why were you in Burger Town?
So my husband's hamburger shop, my family is Persian, and so they were like, oh, everyone else is closed? Fantastic. Like, let's make these burgers.
Let's get that dough.
So all the businesses were shut down, like the restaurants for the most part, because employees were supposed to have the day off. But the loophole was that if you're an owner, then you can stay and work.
So the owner and their family were having to work.
Well, they're all shareholders, so they were like, this is convenient, let's do this. And it was
Are you
fun.
A shareholder?
Well, I mean, like, by association.
Oh, okay, because you're married.
Yeah. So it was fun though, but okay. I heard nothing political.
Okay. No, my whole day was saturated. I was so nervous. But the results, you know, like we're gonna go into details, but it's interesting. It's quite balanced, which I think upset the right. I think the right really thought they were gonna like take it all, but it's like really balanced, which is, you know, whatever side of the table or the table, what, the bird, the wings, whatever
Birds.
You're from. If this is your first time listening to this podcast because you're like, I'm going to get real good, serious information.
Then go ahead and turn this off and go to
ChileToday.cl to get your real serious information. We're going to give you accurate information, but we are not professional at all. The only professional in here is a live penguin, who is our producer. His name is Podcast Pinguino, and he's over there, and he's face palms the whole time we're here.
The entire time.
I don't know why they chose us to be the people on the podcast. They were
Not
like,
really
y'all are
sure.
cute. I'm like, yeah, but this is not a visual media, so I don't understand.
But they also let us talk about dinosaurs.
That's true.
Like, freely. If we
Yeah.
want to talk about dinosaurs
Llamas,
for an episode.
I'm pretty sure we've talked about, oh gosh, everything. Oh my goodness.
Flora, fauna.
Flora, fauna, sex, whatever.
It's all in here.
Sex with flora and fauna.
Sex with flora.
Wait, don't do that.
No.
Fauna can't consent. Don't do that.
So yeah, we're kind of going to break down what's happening politically
Sure. Yeah.
in the Chile. In Chile.
In the chili.
In the
beans,
chili sphere.
in the soup.
So the Constitutional Convention is composed of 155 members, and they're directly elected in this election. Wow. Okay,
Yep,
here we
yep,
are.
yep.
138 by the electorate at
Not wrong.
large, and 17 reserved for citizens identified as indigenous.
Yes, and before we continue on, it was not just the constitutional representatives that were elected this week. It was also mayors, aldermen, and governors. These were all people that were elected this weekend. So that's why it was such a kind of chaos. Did you see the ballots? They were literally the size of like a table, because there were hundreds and hundreds of candidates for constitutional like representatives, and you just like open that thing like bigger than a newspaper, and we're like, where's my guy? And there was one guy, there's like a meme going around where one guy was like, I got fucking tired of looking for my guy, fuck this. He like wrote it on the ballot. He's like, where the fuck is it? They were numbered, so you could have been like 202 or whatever and like looked for it, but I guess this person was like, where's the name?
But also the numbers were, it was so many. And also,
Hundreds.
if
hundreds.
you are affiliated with any political people, please stop handing out papers, because they are all over all of the neighborhoods in the ground.
And they don't like, ecological sustainable lifestyle. I
Gringos
like read
Go
an
Green.
article, Gringos Go Green, if you want to follow that. It's me and my best friend Mary. Hey Mary.
Hi, Mary.
We do, we review ecological products and give tips on how to live ecologically in Chile. So, anyway, I digress. No, but there's like, people don't vote based on flyers. Like, there's no proof that they actually work at all. And the like amount of paper, like dead trees that it takes, the amount of like them just being thrown on the ground is just like, don't do it. We have social media. Why are we still handing out papers, bro?
And then the tents that they put up, those wooden, what are they? They're not tents, but they're the boards, like the sandwich
I'm quite
boards.
familiar with them.
They just they like wrecked all the grass in the medians. So
Yep. Stop it. We want our parks back. We only have a little air to breathe in the city.
Not like we can use them anyway.
Yeah, not right now anyway. Well, during the week right now, when let's go on this.
Anyway, positive podcast.
Okay, so, yes. Did you have anything else to say before I jump right into the details?
It's all you, girl.
Okay, so she mentioned the round numbers. So this was the first ever country to have equal division between men and women as constitutional representatives. That means that they had to have an equal-ish number. So, for example, it could be that a woman got more votes than a man, but the man would get chosen, or vice versa, because they had to have an equal number of men and women, which actually, that happened. There were more women were actually elected to be constitutional representatives, and they had to remove some to put men in there, which I'm like, I'm kind of impressed, Chile. What? More women got elected than men? So, but at the moment, there are, and it's by region, right? So that's why these numbers sound weird. There's 77 women and 78 men as constitutional representatives. And the vast majority of the constitutional representatives, are lawyers, the vast majority, followed by teachers. So it said profesores, which I don't know if that means like from colegios. I doubt it. I'm sure it's like university professors and stuff. But it sounds like, smarties, smart people. There's some gynecologists that are on there. There's like 7 gynecologists. And I'm like, go girl or guy. You can be a gynecologist, be a man. But I'm like, yeah, reproductive rights, right?
Yeah.
Right? Rights, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's break down the numbers here. So, we have from the political party or from, okay, actually, before I do that, let me explain to you how this works, because I learned this literally like 12 hours ago. So the way that the constitutional, like, slots are filled is by lists. And you get on a list with a political party. Okay, so let's say I'm running with, I don't know, Lista del Apruebo. Okay, so I'm running with them, and there are 10 other people on the list. It doesn't really matter. Like, so for example, if you want to vote for me or you want to vote for Diego or Podcast Pinguino, and you're sort of torn between the two, it really doesn't matter, because the idea is the accumulation of the amount of votes that the entire list gets, which depends on the number of seats. So let's say our list gets 150 votes, but your list gets 300, so you're going to get more spots than our list, even though maybe Diego or Podcast Pinguino, who's Diego, got more votes, actual votes himself than you.
Okay.
So he might not even be on the list, in the actual convention, because it depends on the cumulative number of how many votes you get on your list.
Not confusing.
Does that make sense?
At all.
Okay. It's because the idea is, it actually makes a lot of sense, because the idea is like, you're not voting for a person, you're voting for policies. So if you're like, oh, I like that list's policies.
Okay.
You're sort of voting for our policies rather than necessarily a specific person to be in the convention.
Kind of love that.
Yeah, so I know it sounds confusing. I'm not a professional politician explainer, but the idea is you vote on the list rather than an individual person, but the person who gets the most votes on the list is the one who fills the slots, basically. So I hope that made sense. If not, there's really good YouTube videos about it. So I watched one yesterday, and that's how I learned. Let's look at the specific lists. So the list Vamos por Chile, which is made up of the political party that's Chile Vamos. I know, right? Really confusing. So they're the far right list. They got 37 of the seats. Then there's Apruebo Dignidad, and that's like far left. They got 28 seats. Lista del Pueblo, which is kind of moderate, got 23 seats. Lista del Apruebo, which is like, again, far left, got 25 seats. Independents, which typically lean right, got 12 seats. And then we have the indigenous seats that were set aside. So each indigenous community gets their own number of seats. So the Mapuche got 7 seats, and which is really interesting because Machi Francisca Linconao, like she's actually in the convention, and she's very important. She was the first indigenous woman to win a case for her land against the government. She was accused of being a terrorist. She was arrested, and then they cleared. She's a Machi, which is like a spiritual authority within the Mapuche.
That's awesome.
She's a badass woman. So Rapa Nui got 1 seat. The Atacaminos got 1. The Aymara got 2. The Quechua got 1. Chango got 1. Yegan got 1. Kawashkar 1. Iagita 1. Koya 1. And so this is also kind of a win for the left as well, because a lot of the indigenous communities, which, of course, support land rights, also tend to lean left, while the right wing kind of believes that you can privatize that land. So that's also a big win for the left. In general, the right was actually pretty mad. They thought they were going to like sweep everything and be able to rewrite the Constitution in their own image or whatever. And it's pretty well balanced.
It is well balanced.
It's well balanced, which is there's a lot of people that would prefer the Constitution to be one way or another. But when you live in a community of diverse people, objectively, you want a Constitution that represents everyone, right?
Exactly, and I think that the amount of effort that went into the balance and the fact that, we have equal amounts of women and men, más o menos.
You have indigenous seats
Indigenous seats, which, wow, imagine.
Yeah. Well, the right did not want those indigenous seats.
No, but
they fought against that.
This is great, because I think that so many more people can be represented.
100%. Like, you have your Chango, you have somebody who is Chango, like, probably for the first time in your life, in government, like, watching out for you and your best interest. And I think that it's absolutely great. Like I said, everybody has their own political party that they want to, like, have be the majority. But Sorry, my boyfriend's banging around in the background, like just doing. He has his headphones in, so I don't think he has any idea how much noise he's making. But I like it. It's balanced. I like it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions? So, are you with me?
I'm with you. It all makes sense. I feel like it's very clear, and I'm really looking forward to all of the changes that we're going to see. I mean, economically, environmentally. Rights for women, rights for everybody.
Indigenous people.
For Indigenous people, right.
Hey, like, what's going to happen? I'm excited. I think it was a big win for... I think it was a big win for Chile.
A huge step in the right direction anyway, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, that is what we have so far for the constituyentes. So, now let's go to mayors. So, clink clonk. I already said he's banging around. So, let's go to mayors. So... Mayors was like a really big deal last night because there were big upsets from the right to the left. I mean, like going from extreme right to extreme left, like super flip-flopping. So obviously, I can't include mayors from every single comuna from Santiago, so I'm just going to do some of the more major ones. So some of the big upsets includes the mayor of Ñuñoa, which was Emilio Rios beat the conservative Guido Benavides. It was by a small margin, but Emilio Rios from the left, Guido from the right, and she won. I think she's pretty far left. So mayor of the city of the center of the city, of Santiago Centro. This was huge. Iracy Hassler beat Felipe Alessandri, and Alessandri is moderate right. He was the incumbent. Iracy Communist Party beat the crap out of him. Not the crap. She won by a small margin. So a lot of people were like super surprised by that. And then Maipú, Katy Barriga, who is a conservative independent who's allied with UDI, which was sort of like Pinochet's party, was beaten by Tomás Wadanovic from Revolución Democrata. Again, far left, but he won by a large margin in Maipú. Another big upset was in Viña, which went from the conservative Andrea Molina, and this woman was the successor of the previous mayor who had been there for 16 years, like the same person for so long. She was aligned with the conservative Chile Vamos. She was defeated by Macarena Ripamonti, and as I kept saying last night, rest in peace, Monty. Ripamonti. Nobody laughed except for me last night, but anyway, she was far left, Revolución Democrática. So, lots of changes, lots of wiggles, lots of things going on there with the mayors. So, mayors make a lot of decisions in Comuna, so I'm pretty excited to see what happens there.
All right.
Yeah. I think another reason Alessandri, the guy from the center, lost is he, like, made a lot of, like, really unwise decisions during, like, the movement, like, during the crisis, because like he aligned himself very, very closely with the police, in the center of the city where everything was happening.
Right.
So I think it upset a lot of people. And also, like, he made it, technically it's illegal to sell things on the street now in the center because of him. And it's like so many people in the center, like, make their living doing that. So he basically, sort of put a middle finger to a lot of people in the center, and that made him mad. And so
that's where you get the best strawberries, street strawberries.
Street strawberries, yep.
And our party frogs. Whatever happened to the party frog?
Oh, it popped.
Yeah,
they do because when I had a foster dog, Ruby was here. She just attacked it. And it popped.
I have a backup if you need it.
Okay,
if you ever need a party frog.
Who doesn't always need a party frog in their life, let me say. But I think it had a good life. Ruby played with it for a long time. So
Ruby.
Yeah. Oh, really? Then there are governors. So governors, this was a big deal mostly because this was the first time that Chileans ever were permitted to vote for governors. Usually the president put them everywhere, which was that's not cool. Because it's governors of every single city. There's not cities. It's the regions. So for Santiago, there's going to be a runoff actually between the far left Karina Oliva from the Frente Amplio to the far right Claudio Orrego, who is from the sort of moderate Christian Democrat. The runoff's going to be on June 13th, so if you're voting in Chile, get ready for that, especially if you're voting in the metropolitan region, get ready for that vote, because you will need to go back out and vote for that one. Then, just for the Valparaiso region, Rodrigo Mundaca, who is an independent running with the far left coalition, he won against Manuel Jesus Millones from the far right Chile Vamos. And then aldermans exist. I'm not going to go into aldermans. There's too many of them, and there wasn't. They do things the alderman way. But that's basically that's a lot of the things. That
Aldermans,
happen. Yeah, aldermans they exist. Yeah, go aldermans, yay! But the main things were the constitutional representatives, the mayors, and the governors. And don't forget the runoff election. If you live in the metropolitan region for June 13th, figure out who you're voting for and vote. It's important.
After these 2 days of elections, President Sebastián Piñera delivered a statement from La Moneda. Qualifying as a historic shift, the president quickly recognized that the results are a, quote, clear and strong message to the government and also to all traditional political forces, end quote, due to the changing environment of the winning parties. He said, we are not adequately tuning into the demands and the desires of the citizens. Like, it took this. It took this, of all things.
Yeah, I guess that the citizens
burning down, like, the Centro. It's like, what a shock.
Oh my, I guess this really proves it. I just thought it was like 18 people down there. Because back in the day, they were like, it's Venezuela. The Venezuelans are the ones that are, like, paying people to ride in the streets. And people believed that. And now it's like, after 80% of the vote for new constitution, I didn't believe it then. But now I believe it.
But now, this is it. This is what's going to do it. So he was like, we're being challenged by new leaders. The president also highlighted how peaceful and calm it was this weekend, which I thought was nice. It was. After work really late last night, drove by Plaza Dignidad, Plaza Italia, and it was quiet.
I think it was just like everybody just felt like contenta. You know what I mean? Like everybody felt like this is the natural order of things. It didn't necessarily feel like something. I mean, there were individual parties that I saw on the TV from from Maipú. I saw like some parties, nothing crazy big. Like there were some parties in Valparaiso, which was just like celebrating the incumbent of Jorge Sharp, which is like, dude, he's already your.
Like, woo, still, okay. Woo!
But yeah, we love him. Like, he won by a big margin. They love Jorge Sharp there. And so, I mean, I feel like it just was like, it felt like, yeah, this is a natural order of things. Because I remember when they actually got the apruebo, it was such a shock. Like, so many people were so shocked about how, like, so it just feels like another step. Like, we're not there yet. It's just another step. We're on the way to where we need to be as far as changing Chile.
It did feel like a leap, though, like a step, a leap, right? Because it's big change, and the president being like, like women are winning, and indigenous people are winning, and I think just changing, and his awareness or what he's going to convey to the people, I think the message really changes. It seemed more like aware.
Yeah.
It seemed less ignorant than it had been in the past, like not trying to be rude, but before it didn't really include everybody. Disconnected.
Yeah, because he can very much come off as disconnected. I will say it didn't seem super disconnected. I watched it last night. It definitely seemed like he was very resigned to what was happening. Like finally, he was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess this is happening now. I guess the left won some things, and I guess we."
He's probably tired. I feel like he's probably so tired.
Go retire. That's what I don't understand. All these billionaires. Right. I'm like, why are you working, bro? Like, your money makes itself. Go buy an island or some crap.
Go play with some dolphins.
Yeah, go buy your own dolphins.
Buy some dolphins.
I mean, treat them nicely. Let them stay in the tag
in the ocean. Don't put them in a pool.
No, but you can get a dolphin whistle or whatever. Is that a thing?
A dolphin. That's how do you summon a dolphin? I bet that's a whistle.
Is that the yeah?
Politics. Yeah, so, great. That was that.
Yeah, no. I watched it last night, and the thing that really struck me is the amount of times he mentioned democracy and pacifism. Oh, this is the way that you really do it, and I'm like, bruh, we never would have gotten here had it not been for the non-pacifist people in the streets for months and months and months. 2 years ago, so. I mean, I'm not against pacifism. I'm really, really happy that we had such a tranquilo night. I'm super happy about that. But, let's be realistic about how we got here.
Right.
So, anyway.
Thank you.
It was an exciting time. Do you have comments? Do you have questions? We're going to keep things updated on the Chile Today news is going to keep updates their Instagram, but we also, the podcast, were, sort of independent Instagram-wise from them. We also do fun stuff, not just serious stuff. We also do serious stuff. We're going to be following all of that stuff. Follow us at Chile Today Podcast.
Oh, and send us DMs. You have been, and it makes us really happy. And we share them in our group text. Slide right inside of our DMs specifically.
Make sure there's lots of lube there. But slide right inside. What? Okay. One more big piece of news breaking. Is Gabriel Boric from the far left Frente Amplio has enough signatures now to run for president of, almost said the United States, nope, of Chile. So he's, you've seen him. He's kind of young. He's far left. He wants to run for president. He's going to be on
wonderful news.
The leftist ticket. It was like a big deal, like him trying to get enough signatures because he's a deputy. He's not a mayor or a governor or anything. He's not really rich. So, I mean, I guess he's in Chile in terms he definitely is rich, to be honest, because he's a deputy. They get paid a lot of money. Anyway, so he's got enough signatures. That was a big deal for a lot of people. So, we got 2 leftists on the ticket right now. We got Holloway, who's right now, he won last night by a big margin. He's the mayor of Recoleta. And then Boric. So there you go.
That was our breaking news.
Okay, so today we decided we're going to talk about things that are hard to do in Chile. Like harder than maybe we anticipated, or maybe if you're thinking about moving here that you might anticipate. So just preparate yourself for these things. So why don't you start, Alisha?
Oh, okay. Sending and receiving mail.
Right.
Letters. Packages. Clothing. And for the reason that it just doesn't make it a lot of the times. I'd say 50% of my packages don't make it. 50%.
For real? I have a better percentage than that.
Since I started using Amazon, they get here every time.
Okay,
but before Amazon.
And recently Amazon has a new deal with Chile that I don't know the technicalities of, but they have a new thing, like partnership with Chile, which makes their packages arrive faster.
And it's working really well. But before that, it was always a struggle, and then you have to pay the impuestos. So if you are like, I really want those pants, expect to pay an additional 20% on those pants once they get here from like DHL. Also, I would highly recommend picking your packages up, like shipping through DHL when possible, and picking them up at the office. It's like you're gonna get your package then.
So did you know of this? There's this hack called carriers. So what you do is you contact the carrier, you tell them what you're buying and the price and everything, and then they give you an address to ship it to. And then they bring it to Chile for a charge, but it's typically cheaper than the shipping. And then you go pick it up at their office.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mail hacks.
Male hacks, female hacks, whatever.
What do you got?
Okay, so my first one is making friends in Chile can be really hard, specifically Chilean friends, because we've mentioned this before, like Chileans tend to be, they tend to have some of the same friends that they've always had from like school or university. University here is very different. You study with, like it's kind of like school where you have the same people in every class. So when they leave school, they sort of get jobs in very similar places. And so if you're coming from like as an outsider in Chile, it's trying to make friends as an adult. I feel like at least in my perspective, as somebody from the United States, making friends as an adult is just something you always do. Like you never stop making friends, whether it's new colleagues or like you go to take a class or whatever. But here it's very hard to like, people are not open. Like even my boyfriend who's super friendly, every time he meets somebody, like we'll hang out with him like 10 times and he's like, oh, they're not my friend, but we like hang out. And I'm like, how is this person not your friend? I've hung out like 48 times with them. And he's like, yeah, but you know my friends. I'm like, you mean Juan Pablo that you never talked to, that you knew when you were 3 years old? He's your friend? What?
Yeah.
So it can be kind of complicated to break into getting Chilean friends. So that's why I think it's really common for gringos to stick with gringos in Chile. It's just everybody's looking for friends here. But you can find a lot of really nice Chileans hanging out in the gringo sphere. So
I've noticed too, when I do meet other gringos, it feels like dating.
Girl,
have you ever experienced that? Like, and it's obviously like a friendship wise, but I've been on, I've like gone out a few times with a few people, And friend wise, and then I'll be like, all right, like I don't know, we kind of hit it off, and like, but then I have other people like you, and I'm like, Bethany and I are basically going steady in our friendship because it's like we're in a committed friendship. You know what I mean?
I think it depends. Also, you sort of like arrived at a really weird time because there is an adjustment period, especially if you're here long term.
Sure.
Where you're trying to actually make friends rather than just like buddies that you like hang out with on the weekends or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like if you're here long term, the idea is like I want to make friends that I can like depend on. And because I think the timing of when you got here, because of the quarantines and stuff, there are less events. Because like when I got here, it was like pub quizzes, like comedy show, all these things, like because there's so many like gringo students here of like trying to facilitate helping gringos like learn to meet friends and doing all these things that we're going to actually put a lot on our podcast, you know, in the after times. And I actually hosted a lot of events, so I don't have that same experience, but I can definitely see it. I was really lucky that I lived above a gringo bar, my first 6 months here, so all I had to do was like pop down. But I can definitely see that because I sort of have gotten into those. I've seen that from other people's perspectives. Like when they meet me, I feel like, relax, dude, just hang out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, the kind of person I am. But if you're nervous, if you're going to come here for, you know, school or whatever, don't worry. Like I said, I host events all the time. Like that's one of the things that I really love to do. I love hosting gringo events. We're going to put them here on the podcast. So it's like you automatically have a clutch, like some friends. And like meet me and Alisha. We're nice, I promise. Well, not Pinguino. Don't meet him. But me and Alisha, super nice. We'll like be your buddies. As long as you're not, like, meanie. Don't be a meanie.
Don't be mean.
Don't be mean. Don't hurt Pinguino. He's just a little cute penguin. That's kind of mean, but he don't hurt him.
Another one was getting a bank account.
Girl,
That's
I still
been
don't have a fucking bank account.
a little difficult because you can go to Banco Estado, and get a bank account. But they do charge you for transactions.
300 pesos per transaction.
Right. It's a lot. And
unless
you have
it's
a
from
limit.
Banco Estado to Banco Estado.
Okay, that's good to know. But, yeah, then there's a limit for how much you can put in there for a lot of the basic accounts. So just be aware, like maybe have some backup plans and a way to get cash.
Yeah, so we've talked about this before on the podcast, but like when you're here before you have your visa, you cannot get a bank account. And so it's like so many stories of like gringos like getting paid from their jobs and just like shoving cash. I did that. Like I had like jars of hummus and I would keep like rolls of cash in my jars of hummus and like hide one of the jars of hummus in my underwear drawer and one of the jars of hummus in like the toilet, like the top of the toilet, like all these places around my apartment because you could not get a bank account. You can't get a bank account. And even once you have your visa, you can only get a Banco Estado account unless you make a certain amount of money. And it's like kind of up to the bank whether they trust you or not. If you're from a less than savory country in their opinion, then they might not give you a bank account just because it's up to them. And so it's hard. And like you said, Banco Estado has a lot of limitations. Sometimes it just doesn't fucking work. There's a limit of how much money you can transfer a day. I remember when we did the fundraiser for Techo para Chile, I had to do it like day by day because it was like it limited me to how much I could donate a day. And I was like, what? So I had to like write down, make sure I donated Techo para Chile today for like 5 days. And I was like, oh goodness. So it is hard, and transferring money back and forth is hard. So just have a plan. If you have any specific questions, hey, message us, because we could probably talk. Hey, maybe we could do a 10 tips about banks, because we could probably do that. Or transferring money or whatever. Right. So have a plan for that. If you have any specific questions about banks and stuff, you can message us on Instagram at Chile Today Podcast or email us. ChileTodayPodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to give you some specific pointers on that. We're pretty pointy. My next one is speaking of dating that you mentioned earlier. Dating in Chile in general is really hard, especially if you come from I want to say first world country, but that sounds really bad. What I'm trying to say is Chileans have a different cultural experience than, example, specifically we do in the U.S. because in a lot of like countries like the US, Canada, and places in Europe, about 18 years old, you move off, you go onto your own, whether you're going to university or whatever, you strike out on your own, or you become independent in some way, and you sort of learn, you learn to cook for yourself, you learn to do all of these different kinds of things for yourself, and you become very independent. But here in Chile, it's not uncommon for people to live with their parents until they get married. And so they don't learn to do things on their own. Their parents do them for them, or they're just not taught, or they don't learn them until they get older. And so if you're a 20-something coming here to date, and they're like, come back to my place, you might be going back to their parents' place, which I have done before. And I'm like, what?
Right.
And for them, it's like totally fun. It's like, yeah, let's do our thing in my bedroom from my childhood. And you're like, I'm 28, dude. I'm not 28 now. I'm 30. But like, that is a thing that happens. And so also it gets hard because like, let's say you're dating this person, you move in together, and suddenly you find out this person has no idea how to wash clothes or no idea how to sweep a floor. And it's those things that they learn them later, right? So I sort of say, and it's not like anybody's fault, it's just the difference in culture. And for us Chileans, and for us like people who have been independent since we were teenagers, it gets very frustrating. And so there has to be, so dating gets difficult because you're in another country, you've immigrated to another country. You have obviously, if you've immigrated, you're studying in another country, you have a level of maturity there already. And you're coming here and this person's like, I still live with my mom who cooks all my food and, helps me with my homework. And you're like, wait, you're 30. You know what I mean? Like, so keep that. No, so for a lot of my friends, it's so difficult to date here. Because, it's men and women, both ways. Like, I say there's like a 10-year lag, kind of. So, dating people that are older than you in Chile is very common because the maturity levels sort of level out. So, keep that in mind when you come here. If you're like, I'm going to get some sexy Latino, and I'm like, you might, but also they don't know how to brush their teeth. So, yeah. I'm kidding. It's not that bad. But it's just something to prepare yourself for. Dating is kind of complicated in Chile. So there's that.
I had getting around in Spanish, and we've talked about this a bit before.
Totally.
But it's very difficult to understand the Spanish here. And I just want, we've said it. We'll say it again. Probably be prepared.
Yeah. We're not lying to you when we say, like, you can get, there are people who are native Spanish speakers who come to Chile who are like, the fuck are you saying? So, make sure you manage your expectations don't get frustrated with yourself. You are going to adapt. Your Spanish is not bad. If you study Spanish, in university and you're here, you're going to adapt. It's just hard.
Be patient. You're going to get it. And you will, listen to Chilean series and movies. Very, very helpful.
Los 80 is amazing. It takes place in the 80s, obviously. During the dictatorship and about a working class family. It's an amazing series. Totally recommend. It's free on the internet. You can just Google it. Really awesome. It helps a lot. And like I said, the biggest thing, don't get discouraged with yourself because you're going to be like, I don't speak Spanish. I'm like, yeah, you do. Girl, hop over to like Argentina and you're going to go, oh, damn, I do speak Spanish.
I'm fluent?
Yeah. I learned Spanish here. And then for a year I was here and I was like, I'm still struggling. Then I went to Mexico and I was like, girl, I'm great. It's so different.
It's like training for a marathon in the Rockies of Colorado to go run in Iowa.
I love that metaphor. You're so smart.
Oh, thanks, Bethers.
But it is like that. Don't get frustrated. It's difficult. Something that's difficult to do in Chile, especially when you're an immigrant, is being away from your family for so long. It's hard. It's really hard. You're going to say something.
No.
I see your face.
I'm just trying not to cry.
Oh, no. Yeah, especially during these times when traveling's impossible. Being away from your family and your friends can get super hard. But I always encourage people, make a Chilean family.
Yeah.
And that is going to get easier once we sort of open back up. That's what I did. That's when I did these events or when I joined the T-Souls, which is the comedy group I participate in. It became my Chilean family. My family away from my family. And it helps so much with the homesickness And also, don't let your homesickness prevent you from having an amazing time in Chile. Like, if you're studying here, you're only here for 6 months or a year or whatever. Like, some people get so down that they don't live their experience here to the fullest. You know, I know it's hard. Push that aside. Go out, do the thing. Even if you don't want to, go out to that bar, go out to that club, or go out to, that event, whatever it is. And have a good time, laugh, and then, oh, I love you, Alisha.
Oh, no, yes. Okay, I'm good. I'm totally good.
No, it's hard. It's really hard.
Right.
So, but you'll be okay. Everybody's going to be okay, and it's, it's a great country to live in. It's just, it's hard.
It is difficult. And, really reach out to your family, too. I know you
Yeah.
can be far away, but... just that one video call with a family member or a friend really makes all the difference.
It fills up your tank of love.
It does.
And there's a kind of love you can get from, your home that sometimes you can't get here, even from your Chilean family or your significant other if you did meet one here or whatever, like Alisha and I. So it's good. And don't feel bad if you get the cravings for the conveniences or the love or the whatever you had in your home country. It's totally normal.
You're normal.
You're
normal and you're okay. And your emotions are valid.
Every single emotion you have is valid. Just try not to let it ruin your experience here. I've met so many people who have exchange studented in countries, and they're like, I spent so much time alone, not going out, not putting myself out there because I was either sad or I just didn't feel like it was worth it or I just didn't feel like I fit in. Who cares if you fit in? You're here for only a limited amount of time.
Right.
This is the time to reinvent yourself.
And if you're here for the long haul, or if you're a student, and if you ever get sad, you can always message us, seriously.
We'll talk to you.
We'll talk with you, because
Or we'll make Pinguino talk to you.
We will. We will. And he loves it, too. So we're here for you. If you ever need to talk, you can message us.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, in the after times, we're going to be doing so many events. There'll probably be at least an event every other week or every week.
Right.
Or even when we don't do events, we're going to mention events that gringos can do, like language exchanges and all those things. Unfortunately, we started this podcast with sort of that idea in mind. Couldn't do it. COVID hit and then ruined our time. But it's gonna. We're gonna help you out. We're gonna help you out. We're here for you. We love you. We love you. It's your turn.
So one of mine was food. Food can be difficult. There's an adjustment phase, and you really have to look for places. You can make your own food. And I think there's beautiful ingredients here. There's beautiful fresh ingredients.
Keep in mind, making your own food here is definitely, everything has to be from scratch.
It's more from scratch for sure, sure. It's not like you can't get many boxes. And Gracias Tio Kiosk Club for everything you do for us.
Oh my gosh,
we love you. But, you kind of have to look for special restaurants that you find, and once you find them, you're going to be like, yeah, that's really good. I really like La Mesa.
La Mesa is great. You took me.
A fan.
And it was so good. And the thing about La Mesa is it has good cocktails, and good cocktails are also really hard to find in Chile because Chileans are very much the well things like rum and coke, vodka soda, gin and tonic, that's what they like, or beer. And so you're like, can I get a margarita? And you're like, what is this thing? Or a Cosmo, and you're like, I didn't know this was a slushie. It's. And so La Mesa has great, is the first time I ever got a actually good martini in this country. Yeah, so I feel like we could do another entire podcast on just food.
Right. And
it's a whole thing.
Vegan and vegetarian food you brought up earlier.
Yeah, it's hard. It's getting better, but it's really hard to be a vegetarian and really hard to be a vegan here because the concept of what being a vegetarian is also different. A lot of Chileans think because the word carne only means red meat, that being a vegetarian means you only eat
pollo.
That you don't eat red meat, so you eat chicken and you eat fish. So you'll be like, can I have the vegetarian platter at a wedding? And they'll bring you out something that's shrimp on it, and you're like, excuse me, this is not the vegetarian. They're like, yeah, it is. I don't understand what you're saying. Because in their brain, in their brine, what? In their pickles, their brain, it's just red meat, and so. There's not a lot of products out there. I have milk supplement that I drink that's not milk. It's literally called Not Milk. It has chicken stock in it. And it markets itself as vegan. It is not vegan. It has chicken stock in it. From
Notco?
Yeah, it has chicken stock in it. Yeah, I'm not vegan. I'm not vegetarian either. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. But they market themselves as vegan. Yeah, girl. chicken stock.
Huh.
And that is not vegan.
Interesting.
Right?
I also want to note that the Taco Bell menu is not as robust as it could
Oh, there's like 3 things on the Taco Bell menu.
Chalupas, thank God, are there, and some tacos, but
there's like, and they'll give you like 1 pack of hot sauce.
Only one pack.
Like again, we should just make an entire thing on food.
We owe you this. We owe this to you guys.
We do. Okay, stay tuned.
Yeah,
stay tuned.
Okay.
10 facts about food coming your way, and in a couple, I'm writing it frickin' down right now.
It's on our list now.
Okay, another thing that's really hard in Chile, me and Alisha were just talking about on one of our edit breaks, was the pollution. It's gnarly.
Thick.
It's thick. We're looking outside right now. It looks like it's raining in the center because it's gray and disgusting. But the thing is it's not raining because it's brownish. That's just pollution, man. You can't even see the beautiful Andes that are right there because of the and you will be able to tell. You'll be able to tell in your ability to like walk. You won't be able to walk as long. Like you'll feel like you're out of shape. It's because of the pollution. You can't breathe as well. I can't wear contacts in Chile. I used to wear contacts every single day in the US. Never a problem. I'd sleep in them. I know you're not supposed to. I did. I never ever had a problem with my eyes. Here I cannot. My eyes are so dry from the pollution. Eye drops don't work. Nothing. I can't wear I used to be a runner. You know, I stopped doing that for a lot of reasons, but I tried to run when I first got here, and it just was impossible. Like, just gasping for air.
Yeah, I use the pollution as an excuse not to run.
Sure, obviously, it's a good one. Also, cleaning your apartment. Like, you will be shocked at how dirty your apartment will get, or your terrace, or your whatever, because of the dust in the air, the crap in the air. I mean, we're specifically talking about Santiago, but it's just gnarly.
It's Santiago. Yeah, and you can smell the pollution when you're...
Oh, it's musty.
It's musty. But I will say it is a lot better in Las Condes, La Barranquilla, La Dehesa. Like, you won't have as many problems as if you live, like, near the center and beyond.
I mean, it's because it's
higher
cars.
Up. Yeah.
And, well, in Santiago, there's a reason. Like, Santiago's a bowl. So all of the pollution gets stuck here. We have no wind. We don't really have rain. And so all of those things contribute to... being able to wipe all this stuff out of the air, and we can't. So it's hard. Like, I love Santiago, but it is something that is like, if you have asthma, bring inhalers. Like, it's gonna be, your lungs are gonna be irritated. Your lungs are gonna be irritated even if you don't have asthma. So it's possible to live here with asthma. I promise. Like, Pinguino's got asthma. My boyfriend has asthma. But when we go to a different city, it's literally breathing new air. Mm-hmm. You feel so much better, like just refreshed going to different cities sometimes. It's like an hour away because you're not in the pollution anymore. It's hard. It's hard living in the pollution.
Another one is finding a high-paying job, a high-paying Chilean job. Because a lot of times if you speak native English and Spanish, or some Spanish, you can maybe find jobs that are remote from the U.S. or other countries. Mm-hmm. But Chilean companies do not pay enough to cover living expenses, in my opinion.
I agree. And also, like, something I was telling you earlier is they have the concept of pituto here, which is, it was something like 85% of Chileans get their jobs via pituto, which means you know somebody within the company. It is very culturally, like, normal here to only hire people that are suggested. Like, you can go through hundreds of interviews. My boyfriend, I remember, he spent 6 months looking for a job, went through so many interview processes, fluent English, fluent in Spanish, went to the best law university, because he's a lawyer in the country, or one of two, and couldn't find a job for 6 months, and then suddenly one of his friends was like, we have a position, and he was hired like the next day. It's just, that is how it works here. So if you're an immigrant coming from another country and you haven't secured a job,
buena suerte.
Yeah, it's really hard. Mary, hey Mary, I know I talk about her a lot, but she's a good, like, representative. But she looked for a job forever here in Chile. She's been here for like 12 years. And she looked for a job forever and ever and ever, and finally got the job that she has now, that she's been at for like 5 years, because she knew someone there. Mm-hmm. And like, it just took that long. It took X amount of years for her to just know somebody well enough to get the pituto, to get into the job. Like,
But don't get discouraged because there are resources out there. Like Discover Chile is a nice Facebook group, and sometimes they post jobs, and there's jobs in Chile.
It is possible. And also, again, manage your expectations. Like, if you're coming here as a student, don't expect to get an office job. Like, you know, there's a lot of bars that'll hire gringos because they want English-speaking people. Like, the Black Rock is one of a really, really good bar that hires gringos. California Cantina hires gringos. Flannery's, Fiddlers, all of those places are really good. Go apply there. But those are going to be bar jobs. They're not going to be something that you're going to be able to afford like your own. It's a city. It's expensive. Like, living by yourself is something of a big privilege kind of situation. So, yeah. And then the last one is being blonde, Alisha, is hard in Chile. It's hard. You automatically have a target on you, and not just necessarily for negative things. Like, everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody thinks that you're cool. You receive a lot of attention in general. I mean, like, would you agree with that?
I agree with that. You get treated, I would say, differently than my friends, like, when I'm out with people that don't look
like me. I have long, dark hair.
They treat you, and they'll speak to you directly in Spanish, but then people will directly speak to me in English.
100%. Like, I remember I went on, like, a little girls' trip with my friend named Jenny to Mendoza in Argentina. And it was, like, the first time I'd ever, like, had, like, a weekend with somebody who was, like, blonde. And she had, like, long blonde hair. And I remember, like, she would, like, start talking to them in Spanish. And she was fluent in Spanish. And then they would look at her and then look at me and then respond. Or, like, ask me a question directly about what she wanted. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, and you get a lot of privileges with it, I think, but you also get a lot of negative attention. People think they can take advantage of you, like taxis and things like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
People are pretty nice. Men are pretty forward.
Because, all the men want to hit on you. You're going to get catcalled. I mean, I know this from experience. Believe it or not, at some point in Chile, I was blonde. So, but I literally remember being like, I'm dyeing my hair back. Because I lived here for 6 months, went back to the U.S., dyed my hair blonde, because that was when, like, being, like, bleach blonde was, like, super in. So, like, dyed my, like, dark brown hair, like, bleach blonde. Came back and just got, like, it was, like, a completely, like, a 180 situation for how I was treated by men and taxi drivers when my hair was blonde. And I was like, fuck this. It's not worth it. Dyed my hair back. Not that you should have to dye your hair. Like, dude, not blaming the victim. Just recognize that if you are blonde, you're going to be treated differently in good ways because you're going to get maybe more privileges in certain areas, and in bad ways where people are going to feel like they can take advantage of you, or they're automatically going to assume that you're a gringo, so they just automatically assume you can't speak Spanish, or, you know, you might get more negative attention or positive attention depending on, you know, what you're looking for from people of the opposite sex. This goes for men and women.
We're just saying shave your head.
All I'm trying to tell you is go full Heaven's Gate on it. Shave your head. So yeah, that's what we've got today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any specific questions, always feel free to message us, email us at Chile Today Podcast. That's the podcast. If you want the news, that's at Chile Today News. Email us, chiletodaypodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We really love it.
We love you. Write to us more, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah, and when in doubt,
gringo out.
Peace.